Okay, welcome back to the show, everybody. Very excited to sit down with my guest today, Julia Balaz, and we are sitting here under the sun in Gemini and the moon in Scorpio, at least where I am now. Feels very fitting for the conversation we're going to have, and very excited to have you here, Julia. Thank you for coming and having a conversation with me.
Thank you, Emily. Such an honor to be invited as a guest on your show. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Something that I've been getting into the habit of asking my guests when I have them on the show, especially considering the conversation that we're going to have, is what is your astrological sun moon rising, if you feel comfortable sharing, as well as any other pertinent alignments that you have galactic astrology wise?
Sure. My rising sign is Taurus and it's 29 degrees. So just 5 minutes later, and I would have been Gemini. I feel like I have a strong Gemini energy too with my moon in Gemini. So Taurus rising, moon in Gemini, and sun in Aries. So I have that quadrant covered. And right now I have Jupiter, Sun conjunct my ascendant. So the energies feel activating. I feel I can do so much. I have so many ideas coming through. So I'm really excited about the times. Everything just feels good. And the sun is shining. So it's all
Beautiful
good.
day. Amazing. I also share a moon in Gemini. We share that. Very good. I felt that from you. I feel that in your work. I feel that the Gemini energy. Do you have that in other places in your chart as
My
well?
North Node is in Gemini too, and again at 29 degrees. So
Okay.
I feel the strong Sagittarian frequency from my South Node, and it is my signature sign. Like that frequency is really strong in my chart. Also, my Jupiter and Uranus are in Sagittarius. And I feel also from some recollection of my previous incarnations, whether through regression hypnosis or just through deep meditations or dreams, that I've had such a strong Sagittarian focus, uh, really seeking and gathering knowledge and information that I feel in this incarnation, I really am called to bring it into nibble sizes, understandable in layman language, and just finding a way to bring it down to earth and to, and share it with humanity. So I feel aligned with what I'm doing here.
That's beautiful. I definitely relate to that. I have a lot of Sagittarian
Gemini.
energy as well. Yeah, and Gemini. So
Beautiful. That makes
I
sense.
relate to you. Yeah. Amazing. Well, let's begin. I would love to hear, Julia. Of course, I've heard your origin story, but I'll never get tired of hearing it because I think it's fantastic. But for the audience, would you share your journey just to the work that you're doing now in the world and how you found your way into this modality, galactic astrology?
Yes, gladly. So to kind of sum it up, I was always curious about astrology. Well, always since my teenage years when I had access to books on astrology, and I was always very self-reflective. Also, always paying attention to other people's behavior and curious about what makes them a certain way. So then, when astrology books came to my hands, it was like, oh my god, these are the answers I was looking for. So the the understanding deepened when I became a certified quantum healing hypnosis practitioner, technique taught by Dolores Cannon. And from very early on, I was asking every client to provide their birth details if they had them available. So after my day spent with a client where they shared everything about their life experience, and then we journeyed through deep regression hypnosis through multiple previous incarnations or their ancestral memories that were recalled in the altered states of consciousness. I had a really good picture about their overall experience. And then after they left, I had my dinner and then I looked at their astrological chart, just looking for some correlations and looking for proof or validation to everything that they've shared about their own life experience, but also the guidance that was coming through from their higher self. Because mostly, oftentimes, people came with the question, what is my life purpose? What am I here to do? And interesting information always came through their own higher self. Like they came to answer their own questions, just going into that deeper state where the ego and the kind of analytical, logical side of our being goes aside, and you connect to that deeper, heart based intelligence. So, and it was so amazing to see how the guidance was always aligned with their astrological chart and the transits that were happening as well. So, I just feel, with people that don't understand astrology, they're still influenced by the movement of celestial bodies, but unconsciously. And those that study astrology, they can have the pleasure of witnessing it and kind of riding the wave very consciously, and perhaps leveraging their understanding of the potentials that they're navigating in their life
Yeah.
experience. So over time, as you see, when you see a lot of data in any discipline, whether scientific or any discipline at all, when you have huge amount of information, you start noticing patterns. And maybe some brains are wired uh, in better recognizing patterns than others, and my chart certainly speaks volumes of natural ability to do that. So I started noticing repeating patterns and things that started validating themselves over time. And there's this beautiful phenomenon with any practitioners and people working one-on-one with others, is that I believe astrologically influence based on transits, we have weeks or even a month where you have very same energy or similar energy coming through your clients, where they'll have all Taurus rising in the space of a month. So you have this wonderful opportunity to dive deeper into particular patterning or archetype, astrologically speaking, and really get a deeper understanding. And it just really feels like you're taught by life itself. So it's just such a privilege to have the opportunity to work with individuals and also paying attention to cosmic energies and influences. So I got to a point
Yes.
where I started becoming really excited about what I was seeing. I was like, oh my goodness, there's really something to it, not just the influence of the planets, but also stars. And recognizing the frequency of, for example, someone that had really strong Pleiadian alignment in their natal chart, they were communicating in a certain style. People that had more Syrian alignment strong in their natal chart, they had very different frequency. And over time, you start noticing that, yeah, actually, there's really something to it. So I got to a point where I started sharing this information with my clients that came, in particular, who were interested in the extraterrestrial phenomena. And the feedback was just so encouraging that I felt the urge to put everything I found into a easy to follow format in online courses that are structured in a way that is easy to follow. And I've never looked back. Then the community that is being attracted to this information is just most wonderful and exciting type of beautiful souls that, for me, I feel just really privileged to talk with others who are into this kind of stuff, and just validating each other's experiences. That, oh my goodness, there's really something to it. It's really a phenomenon. So that's the gist of
Amazing.
it.
Thank you. Like I said, I never get tired of hearing that because I just think I think it's so fantastic. And like you said, being able to recognize patterns and these themes. And I certainly experienced that in my own work as well. And I was actually just talking to the guest that I had on last week, as a QHHT practitioner in Germany. And we were talking about the same thing, about how it seemed there is such an intelligence and an orchestration that's going on. And it's almost like, something I think about is, obviously it's clear that you were meant to discover what you've discovered and the connections that you've discovered, and to do what you're doing now. And how amazing, because I think you've brought such a breath of fresh air and such a new dimension to this topic, and such a greater understanding. I know for me, the first time that I saw my chart um, on your website, it was like, wow. I mean, I just had this full body reaction to it. And like many people, as I'm sure you understand, there was just this voracious hunger to understand more about my chart. And I've gone through waves, since I've just almost 2 years ago, since I first saw my chart, through waves of, exploring externally and then taking it internally and applying it and integrating it and so on. And it's just been the most amazing journey. And I really feel, and something I wanted to share with you, I was saving it for our time together, is, and I'm sure many people have experienced this as well, but I find that discovering this information that you've shared and through the chart, I feel it really accelerated my um, evolution of, or the expansion of my consciousness, and not only my understanding of myself and my soul origin and my soul journey, but helping me to understand other people. And like I shared with you before, the waves of energy that are entering the earth plane, and these soul types, and these children that are deciding to join us now at this particular moment in time. So just so fantastic, and so excited about what you're doing. And I really feel that it's such an important building block to this this moment, this in time, this advancement, this development, this expansion of consciousness that's happening. I think you're contributing to that so beautifully. So thank you for your work. So for anybody who's
Thank
new
you.
to this
That's so
concept, or
wonderful
maybe
to
hasn't
hear.
seen their chart
And it
before,
is
or is
a
new to the
feedback
concept
that
of
I keep
galactic
hearing over
astrology.
and over.
Oh, sorry, Julie, I didn't mean to talk over you. There was just a little delay there. Um, what I was saying
There's a bit of a
is,
delay, so
yes, I know. I just heard that. I'll just wait for it to catch up here. Okay, so what I was saying is, what for anybody who's new to looking at their chart, or maybe hasn't seen their chart before, is new to the concept of galactic astrology in general. Can you tell us a little bit about what looking at the different alignments in the chart can tell somebody, perhaps about their soul's journey, or perhaps incarnations, or whether parallel, or whatever you want to call it? What can that tell us about our soul's journey?
well, first of all, when someone visits our website, galacticastrochart.com, and they click on the free chart tab and put in their birth details, they may be quite surprised by how many different star systems they will see in their natal chart. So it gives you a snapshot of mathematically, geometrically calculated speaking way what stars, and we also use what I call supercosmic points like galactic center, super galactic center, and beyond at the time of your birth, and not only through conjunction but also opposition, trine, sextile, square. So these are all different aspects which talk about different relationships, energetically speaking, between the planet and the stars, and all these things manifest in a different way. So the the table that you will see in front of you offers very complex, almost infinite feeling story of your ancient soul history. So, first of all, just looking at it all, not understanding any of it, it may feel first a little bit overwhelming, but I believe that the first experience of expansion of our consciousness that people experience at that glance is realizing that they are connected to cosmos much more than they were ever led to believe. And seeing it black on white may really help them start resolving and dissolving the limited view of who they thought they are or who they came here to be. And they suddenly may feel connected and start remembering beautiful soul connections and love that they shared with beings from other star systems in one way or another. Because through the hypnosis regression sessions, the most wonderful and really the pinnacle of me witnessing people experiencing their remembering of their soul connections to other star beings is the profound love that they feel, and realizing that they were connected all along. Just for the time being, the veil of forgetting was giving them the impression that they are not connected and they're lost or far away or in a strange world that feels so alien to them. But in fact, the family is sending frequency of love and support the whole time, hoping for the right timing when it is okay and safe for them to start remembering and reintegrating the wisdom and skills that they acquired as a soul in other star systems and other exoplanets. So just realizing that you are connected to stars in one way or another, and then just taking a kind of intuitive look. Like you have to, like, my best advice is feel the chart in your heart and start kind of noticing which name on the whole list of different star systems there is speaking to most. Not, many people would say that certain star systems will kind of come out of the chart and they draw you in more. So then you can just start looking for information that's available online about those star systems. On my YouTube channel, Galactic Astrology, there is plenty of free content in relation to what can it mean to have certain star system in your natal chart, what are the most likely manifestation of that, whether in your personality expression or other way of kind of perceiving the world. So then you can see if that resonates with you or not. And then just really accept that you're now at the beginning of a really, really long journey. And it's okay not to know it all and understand it all. We never will, because it's just, it's very quantum. It opens new door every time you integrate a room, a segment of your soul history, something else opens and reveals, and it just gets bigger and bigger. But essentially, that, or eventually, we get to a point where we stop needing knowing and understanding all those connections and realizing that actually everything is connected. And what matters the most is love and evolution and connection. So I believe that the reason why we are all here at this time and remembering all these things, for many people spontaneously recalling past, present, future lifetimes and different worlds, I believe we are here to relive or remember the trauma of conflict that was occurring on so many levels in so many different worlds, and bring frequency of love and higher wisdom into the physical experience, into this lower kind of frequency expression of source, and then bringing greater unity and greater connectivity between all worlds, all timelines, all star systems, and somehow elevate all everything together. And I believe this is a byproduct or result of Earth herself going through this process of shifting her frequency into something higher. I even have goosebumps as I say this, because that was something that was happening for many people in their regression hypnosis. They didn't come with this question at all or even wondering about this at all, but they were shown that they were at some point a soul in different star system, just emanating frequency of love. They were not, it was a higher, like ethereal state of being. And they suddenly felt the call of planet Earth calling out to this, to the universe, that she's calling in more light and love to support her in her cycle of ascension.
Yes.
And many, many, many souls ushered in to do this wonderful, epic journey.
Yeah.
So,
Beautifully said. And something that I have received a lot, as in my work, I do this, have the great privilege of working with the energies of children before they have even been conceived, and sometimes while they're in utero. And one time, this has actually happened more and more as the years have gone on. And of course, one of the questions, just as we have the question of why am I here? What am I here to do? Many parents are now curious about their children and what they are here to do, or why are they coming here at this time? And more over the years, especially in the last handful of years, the children have said something along the lines of, why are you here? Why are you coming here now? And the common thread, or the red thread, has been, well, the earth called me here. Or I was off doing my thing. I was not interested necessarily in having another incarnation, but then I heard the call, and Earth called me to her. Literally, like she said, "Please come help me." Um, and that has repeated again and again and again in different energies that I'm speaking to, of why they're coming here. And of course, I'm sure there's other reasons, but I love what you say of how it really does come back to love and to unity. And I think that's really what so many of us who are here, but also the energies who are coming in, are trying to anchor, or to accomplish, or to bring emphasis back to. So it's I was having goosebumps as you were speaking about it. And actually, just recently, I haven't shared this yet, but I wanted to share it since we're on the topic. I was in meditation a few weeks ago, and just sort of letting the meditation take me where it will. And I went into this experience with the energy, the frequency of this planet of Earth, and um, she showed herself to me as this beautiful woman with this long silver hair and this face with just that was just love, like just a face that emanated love. Without even having to smile or do anything. It was just this beautiful face. And she showed herself to me with all of these beings, unicorns and dragons and fae and fairies and all of these elemental energies and animals. And, I said, and they were just sort of all sitting together, cohabitating, coexisting. And, I said, wow, like I was just observing it. And she said, these are all the beings that you know, once were a part of this earth plane, but they were at some point rejected, or have been rejected in the collective consciousness, and so they're here, kind of in this inner realm, in this space with me, until it's time for that energy to kind of return. I just thought it was so interesting. So I think I love what you're saying, and I think understanding that the earth is a living being, is a sentient entity and energy, is and she has a mission and an ascension process of her own, and an agenda, we could say, and then is sort of calling these souls to be here to assist her in that. I think it's just so amazing.
Thank you for sharing that beautiful story. And it reminds me many regression sessions where clients recalled to remembering their own existence as Fae,
Yeah.
elementals, and talking of similar experience where there was once a time on Earth where they were on the surface and visible, but then
Yeah.
as a result of the natural cycle of Earth descending and
Hmm.
different and holding space for human life forms playing out their games to support their soul's evolution, or whatever other agendas may have been influencing this, but always with alignment of the very long cycle of the heartbeat of the universe
Yeah.
that we see across all forms. So Earth herself has this, and now them kind of coming back, communicating through, with our hearts and helping us remember and actually embrace them and call them back into our reality. So it's so wonderful to hear that you had that experience. Mhm.
Yes. And particularly in 2024, I'm curious your experience with this, but specifically with dragon energy, seems to be making a resurgence or a reappearance, or just is more
Absolutely.
prominent in my experience. I've had so many dreams this year, just in the first few months of this year, of these beautiful dragon guides. Curious, any thoughts or insight around that?
Yes, absolutely. Like it again, a phenomenon that it's like a ripple effect that is happening across the globe with many, many people, and especially, well, I've noticing it awakening for a couple of years already, and it's
Yeah.
and even before, but in the lesser numbers. And it's just, more people remember the connection to the ancient dragon frequency and how it is very present on Earth, but now awakening.
Mhm.
There's been so many different ways how it is making itself known through different
Yeah.
experience of people. And certainly, I believe we can then track it also with galactic astrology, whether that's with planets transiting, activating alignments to Draco constellation, and there are different prominent fixed stars there that have different astrological degrees. So there may be correlation there, but also in connection to the supercosmic points like the galactic center, supergalactic center, the great attractor, and Shapley attractor, which people can find in our calculator, that also can be activated through transits. And that's usually when we see people experiencing group events coming together, and suddenly everyone is very aware of certain locations and energy centers that feel like you're actually on the back of a sleeping dragon that is just mighty.
Mhm.
So many people recall their own connection to dragon beings. Like you go into meditations, and I had that experience before as well, where you just become massive energetically, and you feel the scales, and you feel the magnificence of the intelligence that feels like the purpose is holding sovereignty and maintaining balance and universal harmony. So there's just so much to it, and it's beautiful to see some people becoming very passionate about talking about this and helping others remember that it's not just a myth. There is something much more archetypal and embedded in the whole cosmology. So yeah.
Yes. I think as Dolores Cannon used to say, these myths didn't come from nowhere. They're based in
Yeah,
some,
well said.
of anything. So,
And of course, Chinese astrology this year, 2024, is their year of a wooden dragon. So that
yes.
alone also is fascinating. I've noticed looking at charts of certain individuals that were prominent in human history, how, people that were born in a year of a dragon, when we look at galactic astrology, they would have Alpha Draconis, Thuban star conjunct one of their natal planets. And it's interesting how that frequency of a dragon fighting for sovereignty, fighting for restored balance and harmony, it was part of their mission. And they were carrying that ancient dragon
Wow.
frequency in their soul. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Amazing. Well, and it brings to mind something that I've been speaking about a lot lately. It's just one of my interests, but this concept of, well, kind of weave it in a few different ways. The first being that, as a soul, as an energy, as we're entering the earth plane, and when we're born, here, that there's so much that we're orchestrating, whether it's the year that we're being born into, the year of the dragon, or whether it's the moon sign under a particular day that is then going to show a particular alignment to the moon that's significant galactic astrology wise. Or I was just speaking to a numerologist earlier today, and she was sharing about how, of course, the day that we're born dictates then the life path, and so on and so forth. And I'm always just particularly interested in that intelligence of the timing, and how, we'll really sort of either wait or push forward and push ahead in order to secure the particular alignments that our soul is really looking to come in and have an experience of. And so that's something I would love to talk to you about, because of course it's an interest of mine. Of like I shared with you before, I'm really looking to study, just as you were and have, studying the charts of your QHHT clients, and seeing the alignments in the chart, and then how that then connected to what they were bringing forward in session. And I'm particularly interested in these energies entering, and how, what's showing up in their charts. And it's still fresh, it's still new, I'm still working my way through. I have about, like I said, 400 charts to it's a full-time job in and of itself, which I'm sure you can relate to. But I'd be just curious to hear, Julia, any thoughts or experiences that you've had, particularly working with, the energies entering the Earth plane right now, or any children's charts that you've seen, or anything that's particularly interesting you surrounding that topic.
First of all, I just want to say it makes me feel so excited to hear about the potential of the research that you are doing, and the passion that is fueling the time and effort it takes to do something like that. And at the same time, I also recall other members of my community who feel equally strongly called to study their clients and using different modalities for that purpose. So there will be, I can foresee that there will be so much data available to us in the span of next decade that I wholeheartedly believe and hope that the result of that will be allowing astrology to take its rightful place in scientific field, because the data will become so strong, showing that it is not just make believe and confirmation bias and whatnot. Like the amount of data will be unprecedented. Like we've never had so much, and we have it electronic, and we can share it, and it's just a completely different game level as ever possible with astrology. So just this alone makes me extremely, extremely excited at the potential of all this. And one advice I can give to anyone who will start collecting data and diving deeper into individual life stories is to have it stored electronically, because my case was having everything on paper. I have this pile of papers with handwritten notes, and I was calculating everything manually. I don't know how I did not realize there is a professional astrological software. There were just certain things on my path that just did not occur to me. I was shielded from what was already out there, including astrology book on fixed stars, on like how ancient astrologers perceive stars. That just did not occur to me. It was like I really feel like I was a horse with blindfolds on, and I was meant to just have my own unique experience, tuning into stars based on what was in front of me as a human form in their experience, and obviously for a reason. So, yeah, having everything then electronically, where you can easier review the data and find patterns, perhaps with the help of a software and things like that. So, yeah, that's one thing. And in terms of children, particularly for myself, it has not been my attraction point or passion to look into that. But I know we have a handful of already certified and not yet certified quantum soul guidance practitioners who are diving deep on this topic for their own reasons, based on their own life experience, and they are finding fascinating discoveries. I had interview on my channel Galactic Astrology with a lady who is dedicating her time to working with parents of the rainbow children, diamond children, crystal children, the generational. And before that interview, I went through the kind of generational astrology and what outer planets were telling us about these generations of different children coming in. And then she was able to validate it. Yeah, actually, that particular generation, that is the frequency. So if anyone is interested to look at the video, if you search for it, if you search for the rainbow, crystal, diamond keywords on my channel, you'll find it there. It's quite fascinating. I was giving out the timelines and the outer planets too. But if we look at the galactic astrology of that, if we extend the influence of the outer planets and see which fixed stars or deep space objects are directly influencing the influx of souls coming in, that tells us another part of the story. Like, for example, in 1990s, we had a whole span of time, large span of time, where we had stellium in Capricorn and a lot of and planets aligned to Lyran stars, Lyra Vega, Lyra Nebula, and aspecting also the galactic center. And I had the privilege of interviewing one soul like that on our Galactic Ambassadors podcast, who had this configuration, and you can see the powerful, powerful frequency of enthusiasm and passion to serve the collective with integrity, and certainly recalling that Lyran frequency and all the history there. So I would encourage anyone looking at children's natal charts to have a look at the fixed stars as well, the constellations, the star systems there, and then explore the history connected to the star system, the frequency there, and start contemplating how that can impact the earth when these children become activated, when they come into certain age. We'll look at the transits. I'm sure there's such epic divine orchestration when we look at astrology. When you can witness it, is just phenomenal and mind blowing. And I'm
It
in
really
awe,
is.
and I can only bow to the supreme intelligence that we are witnessing here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels like, and just in terms of the kind of generations that are coming in now, it feels to me like we first had a big wave with the hippies movement of souls that were anchoring a lot of the kind of galactic frequencies coming with the memory, strong memory of unconditional love, unity, and they wanted to anchor that on Earth, but it was extremely difficult because the human DNA, our physical bodies, were so conditioned by trauma, by so many generations, centuries of abuse and control and manipulation. So the easiest way for them to navigate that was to numb the extreme contrast, whether through alcohol or drugs, addictions, and all that. Then their children were headed, my generation. Our role is to expand our consciousness by absorbing like sponge all the available information on all kinds of healing modalities and deep psychology and all these things to start healing our human lineage as much as possible. And then our generation, the people born in 1980s, 70s, we bring another generation of children who were diagnosed, unfortunately, with ADD, ADHD, not fitting in because their role, their purpose is to break the system that is not working, that is
Yeah.
totally working against what is natural for us and what is natural for Earth. So they are rebelling. That frequency is very strong with them. And so sorry for jumping back. My generation, the 80s, 1980s born, 1970s born, that was the strong indigo frequency, really coming in as carrying wisdom and ability to heal ourselves and offering healing support to others. The indigo parents can bring in the diamond frequency in the children that are not meant to fit in, and they are very triggering to their environment because diamond frequency is very like you see yourself very clearly in contrast to that purity of diamond soul. And then after them, we have these diamond children that just come with just pure joy, really bringing much, much lighter frequency in to come and play. And through playful creativity, when they come of age, they'll create most amazing, innovative ways to bring like the paradise feeling back to how we're supposed to live in connection with nature in a playful way, kind of lightening up quite a bit rather than us taking it so seriously and analyzing everything. And then after this rainbow generation, what we are seeing now, like this year, dragon babies being born, I believe when they come of age, they will be really powerful leaders, able to build this whole new world with systems that are just nothing we can imagine yet. So each generation has their purpose, and I feel it's important for us to realize that we are not here to wait for experiencing all that amazingness here and now of the new earth, but really thinking about how what we do affects the generations ahead of us. We really are here for the earth, as
Yeah.
well as our own evolution, but the main purpose is just kind of playing our part and supporting the overall evolution. Would you like to add anything to all that?
Oh yeah,
We are
no, it's just I'm loving it. I'm loving listening to you. I could listen to you all day. Um, I completely agree, and that's something that I was interested in speaking with you about. Just your, in current time, 2024. I think it's some of the language that I use is slightly different, but I think it always reroutes back to the same thing, which is that. And I agree with you about these dragon babies, these 2024 babies being born right now. They're certainly carrying an energy that I kind of call an activator energy, where
oh,
they're
awesome word
very
to use
interested.
right there.
Yeah, they're very interested what I'm noticing with these children is they are just so not desperate, but so urgent. There's this urgency to get going, and they kind of almost want to bypass their childhood. Where I have these mothers messaging me like, "My baby's already trying to do X, Y, Z, and they were just born, 2 months ago, and they're bypassing all their milestones, and I've never had a child like this, and my previous children were not doing this in the same way." So I just think it's very, they're kind of almost shocking, and then these parents will be like, I was worried, and so I took my child to the doctor. The doctor has never seen anything like this before. The pediatrician is puzzled because they don't know what's going on. And so I was seeing this in 2023 too, but it's certainly just in from what I've been able to observe in the first 5 months, anyways, it definitely seems that there is this these kind of activator energies coming in, or these dragon energies coming in, who seem very eager to get going and very eager to begin their mission.
That's fascinating. So good to hear that. I just want to, hand in hand with that, I want to say that there are many souls in our generation and before, and somewhat younger than we are, who have a strong soul memory of being able to accomplish so much, whether in other worlds or in higher forms. And it is extremely frustrating to be in a limited human body experience, limited human brain, and not being able to accomplish all that, or not doing things perfectly, and most of all not being able to manage the emotional body system. It's like nothing many souls experience ever before. So it's extremely frustrating. So I always like to remind people that there is a difference between this human body and whatever form you had before. So just allow the frequency of grace and love and compassion to your body and this human experience to bring more patience and grace to how you navigate, knowing that, it's just you're learning each time, and next time you can do a little bit better and a little bit better, and there's divine timing for everything. So
Yeah.
much love.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up, because for a few reasons, I certainly felt that when I was a child. I remember feeling so frustrated that I wasn't able to. I remember having a concept that I wanted to communicate, and I was trying to communicate this concept through my mind. I remember saying to my mom, "I'm sending it to you in my mind. Can't you hear me?" And she was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And so I was trying to put this concept together with words, and I couldn't get it the way that I couldn't get it out the way that I wanted to get it out. And I just remember feeling so frustrated, and then also, just like you said, very limited by the human form. I remember wanting to do all these things on my own when I was a child, and my parents were like, "Well, you can't do that yet because you're just a kid. You're not allowed to do that yet." And I remember being like, "Why? But I need to. I want to, you know." So I certainly relate to that myself. And something else, I think I love that you brought up kind of the emotional system as well, and that a lot of these souls coming into these bodies are perhaps working with that for the first time. I'm certainly encountering that, where they're interfacing with the human form for the very first time. That's their first time inhabiting a human form in that way, and they're learning it. They're learning, like, how the emotional system works and how to express and communication. And it's just very interesting to watch them kind of, and hopefully, I really feel passionate about supporting them into figuring that out, so that they can then have the experience that they were looking to have here.
Beautiful, yes. And I just want to highlight that not all are the first timers in
Yeah.
human body here on Earth. You would notice some children, and the Galactic Astrology can reveal this as well, kind of validate. You will notice some young ones who are just very, very natural at navigating the emotional body. They have really high emotional intelligence
Yes.
and wittiness, and cop on, and common sense. And there is, you can really sense the previous incarnations of being someone who was in charge and used to having it all. And then working with those
Yeah.
little ones is also interesting to see. I recall someone who actually had a very strong memory of a little boy who had a very strong memory of being royalty before, who was commanding everyone to support all his needs. And in that particular incarnation, it was in a quite rough way, and not very compassionate towards how his words and actions were affecting others. So it was really coming through strongly in his early childhood as well as, and it was very helpful for parents to understand where that characteristic was coming from. They were able to, much better than able to, navigate in a communication style with him, helping him to explain the importance of actually learning the importance of interpersonal relationships, and becoming a better leader
Yeah.
and there was a strong Aries Libra
Mhm.
correlation in his lunar notes, and other planets like Mars and Saturn that kind of just validated that story. So it's just
Fascinating.
fascinating to see how we, I
Yes.
believe, if it becomes, once it becomes common understanding that the soul evolves over many incarnations, things will make so much more sense. At least they do to me once
Yeah.
that is obvious.
Yes.
Would you
I think
agree?
it's what's interesting about that is that I was just speaking about this the other day is I think that that is really seeming to it's been in progress, but it seems that that concept is really pushing itself into the mainstream and it's starting to really pick up mainstream attention, which is very exciting. Um, the University of Virginia here in North America is studying it, and there's various docu-series shows. And I was just reading an article the other day in the Washington Post around children and the soul and reincarnation, and so it does seem to be gaining more mainstream attention. And like you said, it seems to be on its way to becoming an accepted concept, which is very exciting.
Many children, especially born in the after year 2000, so many of them were spontaneously recalling their previous
Yes.
incarnation and were talking about it and in great detail. So, again, just
Yes.
helping more brains in the human collective realize that actually there really is something to it and you cannot make it up, because they were able to validate it by going and checking the facts that a child was
Yes.
recalling. So, meant to be.
Yes, absolutely. And just to echo that, because I talk to a lot of parents, and by proxy, have them sharing the past life memories and the soul recall that their children are having, and it's absolutely stunning the detail that they're able to retain: full names, places, birth dates, death dates. I have my niece the other day. She was talking to me about how she wrote a book a long time ago about the solar system and about how people used to think that the sun revolved around the earth, but actually discovered that the earth revolved around the sun and that it wasn't written in English and it had a yellow cover. And she's explaining all this about this book that she wrote about this, which she's only 4. She doesn't know any of this. She doesn't know that there was the concept of the solar system and
Wow.
how it worked, and then she made this discovery. I mean, amazing. And the level of detail that they're able to retain and then communicate is just so exciting.
Such what a time to be alive.
Yeah, truly, truly. Well, I would love to transition, Julia. I'm very curious to hear you have been working tirelessly. I see you sharing so much content and on your YouTube channel and your podcast and your training and supporting all of these wonderful practitioners. I've taken one of your courses. I took your 101 course, which I just loved, and I still go back to. Um, and so that has been a focus of your work. I'm curious, in present day, what are you feeling most excited about? What's drawing your attention? What's inspiring you? Do you have any particular hyperfixations in your work now? What is kind of calling your attention at present time?
Studying charts of extraordinary minds, extraordinary people, and
Ooh,
looking for patterns there. And I'm glad when I have an opportunity to put together a presentation for, let's say, astrologers community, where I can kind of put things together and share them. There'll be one published by the end of June. People will be able
great.
to see it on my channel once it's published within the astrologers community. So definitely that, and I just look forward to having the time, the glimpses of time where I can look for charts of these extraordinary people and seeing how the super cosmic points and certain star systems, including the royal stars,
Mm.
Aldebaran, Antares, Fomalhaut, and Regulus, how the combination of certain cosmic alignments plays a role in an extraordinary mind to
Ah,
to become activated and creative and impact the society based on where is it sitting in their need, which houses, which life areas are activated by these. So it's all there. Like it's so amazing. So that's what I'm into right now.
Oh, that makes me very excited. I can't wait to hear more about that. Anyone in particular that you're studying that you'd feel comfortable sharing or keeping it
So in
secret?
that presentation that people can
Yeah.
look forward to now, I look at the natal chart of Maya Angelou,
Mm,
Martin Luther King,
mm,
Sadhguru, Robert Edward Grant,
wow.
the scientists and world's best known innovators, Nikola Tesla, a gentleman who discovered the car and mass production of automobile, people like
Wow.
that. So, and there's more.
Wow,
Yeah.
can't wait. And what I'm hearing you say is that there seems to be one of the patterns is that there's a prominence of the four royal stars or the super cosmic points.
Some of them in combination with supercosmic points. So I coined this term recently, galactic astrology harmonics, like
Ooh.
starting to notice that it's not just focusing on what is a star telling me about me, but what about the combination of multiple placements? Because yeah, when you have the combination of these things, usually there is like a lot more energy frequency coming through the soul, whereas incarnations that don't necessarily have these strong prominent placements. And I don't mean to create a hierarchy of what's better, what's worse, because there are, majority of lives are not meant to be out in the public eye and creating waves in a very particular path focus. Majority people are really needed to just anchor the frequency of love or peace or working through generational trauma and things like that. And I've seen it a lot coming through the QHHT sessions where people were asking, what's my purpose? What's my path in this incarnation? They were told, just be an anchor of love or be an anchor of peace, be an anchor of this and that. Just be you're like a crystal that is used by cosmic energies at certain times, and you're bringing the energy into the earth. So it's okay that you're an introvert. It's okay if you feel isolated. You're actually doing an amazing work, and we thank you so much. So,
Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing. Sorry, there was just a delay. I was waiting for it to catch up. Um, I love that because I think it's a reminder that we are all here to play a role, and like you said, for some people that is maybe more public, and they're pushing into the mainstream, and they're very active in that way. And for other people, their role is, like you said, to be an anchor, which what a beautiful thing. And I think that's really felt. I'm meeting a lot of those people who are here to do just that. And what I find is that those people just have the most gorgeous energy that they're really exuding that if they're in their kind of awareness of the fact that they're doing it, even if they're not. But if they are, I think it's all the more powerful. And it's just so wonderful to be around those people, especially if they're in full acceptance of the fact that that is their one of their roles in one way or another. So anyway, I'm very excited to hear about the that research that you're doing, and looking forward to watching those videos. Julia, one of the questions that someone in my community had for you, I shared that I was having you on the podcast today, and somebody was asking me about death charts. Of course, we know birth charts, and we can get that information at the moment of birth, but that there's also information to be gleaned from a death chart. And a while ago on your YouTube channel, you broke down the death chart of Dolores Cannon, which was a fascinating video. And as I recall, she had quite a bit of Arcturus energies, both, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, in her birth chart, but also in her death chart. Anything that you can share just around the significance or prominence of looking at the death chart in addition to the birth chart?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. And actually, since releasing of that video, I had many people emailing me or messaging me saying that they took time to look at birth charts of their relatives or friends and their natal charts, and they indeed found a correlation that there are repeating alignments, that there is a pattern, and usually through opposing alignments. Like it's like you enter in one way and exit another, but in connection to the same star system. So it's such a beautiful validation for the galactic connection. The ones that matter, they'll be in both charts, you know. So there's definitely something to it. So I would just say when people do that, to look for commonalities, and it doesn't have to be through the same planet. For example, Mercury conjunct Arcturus, and then on the death chart, it has to also be Mercury conjunct Arcturus. Not at all. It can come through variation of different planets. But as I
Yes.
said, those that matter will be present in both charts.
Fantastic.
And
Yes.
another thing, I suppose, for your audience, and based on the topic that you're most interested in, I would like to invite your audience to also explore the video shared on my channel not so long ago on Galactic Astrology of the Ancestral Lineage. So when you look at a chart of your children, yourself, your partner, both your parents, grandparents, and so on, as far back as you can go. And again, the galactic alignments that really matter, they will be present across every single generation. And we were able to track as many as seven generations of a star system that was very prominent, like through conjunctions in every single generation. So just these, even outside of galactic astrology, if you exclude the stars, you will notice different patterning. But when you bring stars in, there is something really special being revealed, because it's, isn't it fascinating that you have seven generation consecutively where a star that is aligned to particular degree out of 360-degree circle that is present, meaning that seven generations in a row people were born at a time where a planet was sitting exactly on that degree, and then that
Amazing.
frequency is coming through the consciousness of that individual very strongly, and the person recalls connections with that star system. There is the bloodline and the frequency that comes through the it's just such an amazing
Wow.
topic.
Amazing. I've been able to, I watched that video. It was fantastic. And from the information that I have, which is my mother's information through my maternal line, my mother and my grandmother, I haven't figured out how to go as far back as my great grandmother yet, but I'm working on it. And
Mm.
the prominence was Pleiades in my chart, my mother's chart, my grandmother's chart, and we'll see if I can go back further. But when I saw that, for whatever reason, it didn't occur to me to kind of look and compare and to see those patterns. But it was always something that I resonated with and related to. But to then see it in the chart of my mother and my maternal grandmother, I was like, aha. So I
Mm.
love that
Did you
perspective.
have a chance to watch that video
I
that I
did.
just mentioned on the
Yes.
Ansel? Because the Pleiades was there also through my maternal lineage. And then
Yes.
if you start to exploring the aspects, whether they are challenging aspects or supportive, enhancing, or easy aspects, that
Yes.
also can reveal a lot of information, and how oftentimes we take on unresolved emotional trauma or tension from, if our parents or grandparents were not able to resolve it in their own life, you will notice it
Yes.
astrologically placed in the children's chart, and maybe the
Yes.
firstborn still has that frequency, but then the secondborn already doesn't, because the firstborn is able to transmute it. So it's just
Resolve
so
it.
amazing, so mind-blowing.
Fascinating. Fascinating. And
Mm.
that it makes sense because actually then born first and my brother, when I went to look at his chart, like I said, there was nothing, there was no link, there was no
Wow.
connection. So
Mm.
anyway, it's a whole,
Yeah.
and don't you find something that I think about a lot is I just wish I had all day to research all these things and to go
Yeah.
dive deep and explore and unpack my own, just even my own chart and all of the connecting pieces of it. But then I'm looking at all other people's charts, and it's just all so exciting. There's so much. It's one of those things where sleeping feels cumbersome because you wish you had those extra 8 hours at night to research and
Big time.
study.
Yes. Welcome to my life. Yeah.
Another question I had come through for you, Julia, in my community, and something I've wondered myself: any plans in the future, at any point, to write a book and to compile your knowledge into written form?
Yes, absolutely. But I believe that is few years
Yeah,
ahead or a few years
yeah,
down the line. Yeah. So looking at my own transit, I can kind of see where I will have the space and time created where universe will,
beautiful.
where it will just happen. There's
Yeah,
so much. I have actually multiple courses outlined that are yet to be published, but it's just
yeah,
like skeleton information that comes in a spurt of moment where I just see the whole course and it's all there. But I physically, like, my biggest issue in life is lack of time.
yeah,
So I'm just at peace and complete surrender that, it's okay.
yeah.
I don't have to. I release the frustration of the lack of time and just going
Yes,
with the flow, attending to what needs to be done. But
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Hopefully that'll come to fruition.
Amazing. Beautiful, beautiful. And I published my first book last year in 2023, and I always knew I would write a book. I just didn't know when. And at the end of 2021, on New Year's Eve, actually December 31st, 2021, I was in my New Year's Eve meditation, which is usually hours upon hours, and I got the from my team. They said it's time, and you'll begin writing in March 2022. Um, and I began writing on March 31st, almost 3 months to the day, March 31st, 2022. And just looking at the transits, and it was very supportive. That's what that time was carved out for. And I was writing for almost a year, exactly 11 months. This book, and it really does. The book, I find it so fascinating, but it really does the timing of when you're supposed to write it and when it's supposed to make its way forward. It really does find you. It really does find you. So we'll look forward to that in the future. Can't wait to read it when it decides to make its way here physically.
Thank you, and thank you
Yeah,
for validating by sharing your own story. Yeah, it absolutely needs to feel like that.
yeah,
And that's the beauty of understanding astrology, that you can really leverage the supportive energies of the universe and be more at peace and in surrender when you understand, based on astrology, that actually you have to tend to other things first. Like I am experiencing that right now, that where there's so many responsibilities that I need to tend to, and
yes,
that it's okay, that
yeah,
timing, there's divine timing for everything. So
yeah, completely, completely. Thank you, Julia. It's been such a pleasure to be here with you. Just as we prepare to close here, would love to hear just a closing message that you have, something for humanity at this point, this current space time location that we are in. Um, Anything you want to share, just as a message to either the people who are listening now at this point in 2024 or into the future, that feels relevant, that is supportive on the journey that we're all on here.
sure. Thank you for the opportunity. 100% taking good care of the body, I would be my absolute highest priority message. Taking good care of the body and taking time
Yeah.
to create those moments every day, multiple times a day, when you are quiet within your own, with your own being, and being outside in nature. Like, it has to become a habit, because the lifestyle and the trend that we are being trained into accepting as normal is completely against that. So just
Yeah.
taking good care of the body and becoming really conscious of how much is created in our society that works against our well-being and raising our frequency. So I would say
Yes.
big priority on the body's
Yes.
well-being, supporting it as much as possible, because once that is in order, then everything else will happen so much more with ease. And the inspirations that are coming through, and the communication of your galactic family or your ancestors or your own divine intelligence, can come through so much clearer and louder when the body is in alignment and in harmonious frequency with Mother Earth. When you
Yeah.
do that, then you work synchronistically with divine order of things on Earth. So that's my highlight.
Mm. I love it.
Thank you.
Beautiful and very timely message for
Mhm.
myself as well. And something I think about often is, for myself, I'm sure you can relate to this as well, is that, we have this work that we feel inspired to do, and much of it translates into the online world, which is amazing because we're able to connect with people from all over the world, and to hear stories, and yeah, just really make these connections from people that we otherwise might not have been able to had we not have these amazing technologies that we have access to, and the juxtaposition of being a very sensitive um, beings with, this very intricate transition that's happening within the crystalline structure and the physical body and so on, and that really what the body needs in those moments is just to be outside in the sun and to not have any technology around or any input. And I find just balancing that often so delicate and so interesting. And so it's my mission and my goal for the summer to spend as much time away from this, as much as I love the connection of it, and just to be with my body and to be outside and be in nature. And so I love that you said that. I think it's a beautiful message and such an important reminder. It's something that I think can very easily get lost.
Absolutely. If I may, I would like to invite the audience also, especially if anyone watching is going through difficult time or confusing time, and no, remembering that it's not always like that. It's just suddenly it feels like everything is difficult, or
Yeah.
just there is this not knowing of what to do next or where to focus. Booking a Galactic Astrology soul reading consultation may be a wonderful way to find clarity and feeling seen and heard and validated and guided to reconnect with the inner resources that may be dormant and waiting, and just understanding that it's a cycle. There is a timing to, there's a light at the end of the tunnel of that particular period, and it may be just so reassuring to know that these are actually, there are cosmic energies working here with me, pushing me to transform certain belief system and change. And then there's something that, rewards can come if I'm willing to evolve. So if people go to my website galacticastrology.com and click on practitioners, there's over 50 practitioners that studied with me and continue to study with me, and who are very passionate at really diving deep into understanding all these things. And there are over 20 languages also available for this
Amazing.
modality now. So I'm just very excited about that. And for any viewers who feel really aligned with this way of thinking and perceiving, and even excited about taking endless hours of studying a chart of not just themselves but their family and friends and so on, then perhaps considering the Galactic Astrology courses that can be found on my website. We would love to have you. It's just so good to spend time with like-minded people, and like the community just keeps me excited and focused on just let's keep going, and as a collective really evolving astrology to just amazing next levels.
Amazing. Yes, thank you, Julie. I was going to ask you how everybody could find you, and you covered it there. I love your YouTube channel, and I find myself always watching the videos on there that you share, and your Instagram, and of course your courses. I highly recommend your courses. I took your one-on-one course, and it's my intention, it's my prayer to do your Quantum Soul Guidance Practitioner course one day.
Mhm.
So you'll likely see me there. Thank you for your time, Julia, and sharing your perspectives and your wisdom. Deeply, deeply grateful to have had this conversation with you today. I enjoyed it so much, and I think it's just so important, especially during these times, to have conversations with people who are doing groundbreaking work in the world, which I deeply feel that you are. And like I said, I think you're contributing so much to the continued evolution and expansion of consciousness, and you're doing so much to support the Earth and her frequency. So, just really seeing you in that, and again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Emily. It was such
Yeah,
a pleasure. I feel the resonance with your being too, so
yeah,
thank you so much for your light and your love.
thank you,
Much love to
thank
everyone.
you. Yeah, beautiful.